Mm.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, today is the last um, um, review on the assignment submission. So deadlines and everything, them everything on your, you can have a look at them. I'll just go through a bit about what sort of references we are expecting from this. So it's Harvard referencing and the word count and other stuff um, that would be of use for you. So I'll start sharing my screen with you in a minute. So yeah, it's this basically. This is just like how would you be assessed. So it says you should be able to develop your leadership role. So imagining that you're in a leadership role and you're managing in the health and social care division, and you need to go through you need to go through this research where you'll see how systems are developed, what policies are there in place, what practices are there in place, and how would you manage other stuff, like for instance there's human resource management, or things to do with different teams or collaborations. So you'll be focusing on a specific project and lead and manage teams in developing project in line with the current legislative framework. So it depends whatever project you're doing. So if it's do with um, uh, the patients or people who are children, who are like who have younger age groups, you will then obviously have different assessments and different legislations in place. Whereas for older people and for the other adult population, you'll have different legislations. So this is actually the application of these management skills that you should have developed by now. And so you need to understand the importance of your own role in leading practice and provision in health and social care. So these are different ways in which uh, you can develop your work. So you'll critically analyze methods and styles of leadership. We've talked about different leadership ways in which people can adopt leaderships. So there might be a leadership that gives authority to the team leaders, sorry, to the team. Or whereas there is a leadership where um, it's the bureaucratic leadership style where you're the leader and the others have to follow. So it depends upon what you're going to do and the advantages and disadvantages of these different leadership styles. We've talked about this in detail previously. So you evaluate your own role and responsibilities leading practice in health and social care provision with regards to the theoretical models that have been discussed earlier. You're going to assess your current skills and competencies against your own role and organizational requirements. So what skills do you possess? What competencies do you have within your own role, within your organization? Like your organization requires some skills and competencies. Where do you lie in that? So you're going to critically assess that also. Develop plans that identify opportunities to meet the current and future needs. And this is the first learning outcome. So the second learning outcome should be that you would be able to develop strategies for in order to lead and manage in an area of health or social care provision. So it's up to you whether it's health or social care. The choice is yours. So you're going to go through the legislations that are there, that have been listed there, the statutory, non-statutory frameworks that we've discussed in detail, their applicability, how are they applicable in health and social care provision, and then analyze your the organizational policies, procedures. So compliance, we talked about compliance, we talked about uh, quality should be there, and compliance basically with legislative, statutory, and non-statutory frameworks in your own area. So whatever organizational policies are there in your area, in your organization, you need to discuss those. And then identify areas. How would you change? How would you bring about a change? So what's there that's missing? So, or when you obviously when you go through all of this, the second bit of this, the second LO, you will be able to identify where is the change required, uh, and how would you bring about that change. So you may have to develop plans to improve policies and procedures wherever there's deficiency in your own area. So you can discuss this before submission. You can have it checked before you submitting your work, your final submissions. I'm happy to have a look at them, at your work, so that I know and you know that you're on track. So I'm happy to do that. And then, yeah, so what plans would you develop? So you might have some objectives that you want to develop. And then we talked about some smart objectives also, and how do you bring about, how do you work with those smart objectives, which are specific, which are achievable, and which are realistic, and which are time bound. So this should be a time bound project. So you have a starting date and an end date. You can use different um, timeline sheets. You can use them. You can make use of the ones that have been mentioned, or if you come up with some others, that's also okay. And then the third LO is to be able to lead and manage a project. Okay, yeah, and provision within the health and social care. So it's a project. How would you lead and manage it? So it could be a project, it could be a different some practice that you're starting. So let's say you want scrubbing done, you want hand washing done every time. I'm just giving you an example, done with every patient that you see, and that should be made it should be made compulsory in your setup. So you need to critically analyze the component stages of a project. What are the different stages of a project? Once you know this, obviously, this is then when you start to develop your project. Yeah, and then in line with your identified needs and improvements. So what did you think was the need? This is again based on what is there in your organization and what is lacking in your organization. Identify and justify appropriate resources for the project. So you might want manpower, might want money. How much money do you require? It's just a rough estimate. You don't have to go exactly according to it, but a rough estimate would be really helpful. And then to justify, why do you want this amount of money, or why do you want this number of people in your team? Why do you want this timeline? Let's say you're taking you want this amount of time. You want let's say 3 months to bring about a change, assess a change. So let's say you want a person who's there for monitoring, and there's another team for the evaluation at the end of the project. So obviously if you have people who are monitoring there for your project, um, uh, the outcome of your project, the impact of your project. How would you assess their training? How would you say that they have been trained? So obviously you'll need money, you'll need people, you need human resource to train them. So that is just an idea for you to develop your resources for the project, and then you have to justify these resources. Develop a monitoring and reviewing strategy for the project, which assesses the impact on provision and others. How would you assess the impact of the project? That is obviously you'll monitor and evaluate, but how would you exactly write that? You have to write that down. And then the fourth LO learning objective is to be able to lead and develop others in area of health or social care. So this is a critical evaluation of the role of the leader in promoting and communicating organizational vision to others. So now you're in this lead position where you have to play this role of a leader, and how would you promote how do you it's something that how important is communication in your organization. And after underpinning that very aspect of the importance of communication, how would you communicate your vision to your team? How would you want the team to respond to your vision? What would you do? This is all critical evaluation of your role as a leader. So what are the ways in which you can communicate and influence your people in order to work according to that vision? So obviously you'll have to think about your staff. It's just not your vision, it's your staff also, or the people who are working in your team that have to have like, let's say you're giving them a salary bonus, you're giving them incentives yeah, for their achievements, or there are different ways in which we've talked about how to boost their confidence, how to raise how do they raise their bar, because they're the stakeholders. You can talk about different stakeholders also over here. Then you evaluate the theoretical concepts which are there behind fostering, strengthening team working environments in a leadership role. So this is really interesting. This whole exercise is really interesting. So how would you strengthen working environment? So you are a leader, you're overseeing everything, you're forecasting, and you're predicting that these things might happen. So your fears could also be there. The problems that sorry might occur, because no project can run on a sound pace. There will be people who will be they will be wanting to be heard. They'll want their say in many things. They will want Also, they will want that position which you are in. Obviously everyone would love to be a leader. How would you be different? How would you be one step ahead uh, than these leaders, um, than these people, obviously, in order to prove yourself as the best leader? So you have to practice. Obviously they'll see you practicing different stuff within your work environment. that will be uh, that will be something that is an example setting an example for the rest of the team members, and to acknowledge that a leader has something that is different compared to the others. So what is that difference that you would make, that difference that would be there in you? And then you analyze the importance of developing a team that promotes professionalism and mutual trust and respect. How would you do this? So you need to analyze the importance. This is again through research, to develop a team. So professionalism should be the core, because you're dealing with you have multiple stakeholders, and you need to develop mutual trust. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to develop this? So if a leader trusts their people, or the people who are working with them, the people will then build on that trust in the leader. So they will trust. They will not have to trust. They will trust the leader and respect the leader. So the leader has to create that environment. How would you develop that environment, and how is it important? So you need to analyze that also, and discuss how the leader supports and develops team members in continual professional development. We've talked about this. We had discussed a small table also that you can prepare for how would you continually make sure that your team members uh, are are actually abreast with the learning environment there. So it's not just you or your project that's improving, it's the whole team that is moving forwards. So let's say you could have examples like problems having to do with people who want to leave that place, who want to leave and go to a better position. So what would you do that with that? Would you give them that better position in your organization just so that they're there, or would you let them go? What are the advantages and disadvantages that you would face because of this? So you have to make sure that it's not just for your team, it's for, like, not just for your vision, it's also the vision for the whole team. So if the team is happy, obviously they will happily then work towards betterment of the organization as a whole. So these are some of the discussions. These are already there. I'll stop sharing this. I'll share a bit about how would you have to format your work. Just give me a minute. Mm, so let's see. Yeah. I hope that's clear. If anything, you have any problem with this, in understanding this, please let me know.
Yes, it's clear. And I've already started doing some of the work. So I've got like, let me see. I've got to where is it now? I've done about 26 pages of
Oh, that's
writing.
mhm, mhm.
So I would like to share it or something, and or you look at it or so.
Oh yeah, definitely. Please do send it to me. You can send it on the Moodle page, or you can just email me. That's also okay, and I'll just have a look at it, and send you my comments.
Okay,
I'm happy to
it's
do
to
that.
the
Yeah.
learner's work, isn't it?
Sorry.
To the learner's work.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No worries. I'll I'll give you a feedback before you're submitting your final work. No worries.
Yeah.
So this is, yeah, this is how to format
And
your
I'm doing
essay.
the
Yeah,
project part. I'm doing the project part of it, so I'm just putting like some comments on places where I've been needing help, like
that's
the plan and identify, justify. So I just put like some notes down that I want to expand on.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's fine. Just send it
Mm,
to me. I'll have a look at it. No worries.
okay.
Yeah. So this is just some information that's there on Moodle already. So how do you format your essay? It should be very clear. So the different guidelines that, and then you need to have a title page. That's always good to have. So where you have your name, your student number, these particular things, your question, what's your, you should have a title, you should have a date of submission and a due date, your coordinator who was there during the unit that was under study, your word count. You don't need to decorate the page. You don't need photographs or graphics unless you're asked by the lecturer. So let's say if you're developing a plan and you want a worksheet, you can put that up. That's no worries. So your margins should be minimum of 2.5 centimeter across, maximum 3 centimeters all around. You'll be using the page layout. So I would suggest that do this at the end, but uh, but do remember to do this. So once you're done with your whole document, you can then do this towards the end. And then paragraphing should have either double spacing or spacing 1.5. Leave one blank line between the paragraphs or indent the first word, not both. And on the computer, you could use paragraph or line and paragraph spacing for 1.5 or double spacing. These are just details of how you can do it. Font size, font should be, you could use Times New Roman, you could use Arial, whichever suits you. It's always better to read this. It's for assessors, it's always easier for them to read. My own personal favorite has always been Times New Roman. So, and this also I do towards the end of that. So you highlight the whole of the document. So your font should be similar throughout the document, ideally. The sizes suggested are 12 for the text and 14 for the headings. Do not change fonts in the course of writing. So it shouldn't be that some text is in 11 and some is in 14. So you click on the whole of the document and go for a size 12. Highlight the whole of the document. Go for a size 12 for the rest of the text and for the headings. So sometimes you want to make the headings bold just to make them the reader focus on that bit. So, and then page numbers should be there. You could put them in the right margin at the bottom or anywhere, like the right is mostly acceptable, or the bottom of each page in the center. And then you have your appendices, which should go at the bottom. It's you should center all page numbers also. And then you have a header and footer also to you that you use on the Word document that you could use for. And then on you could for the header and footer, you could also use options like you could insert your name there, student number, assignment number, topic, and page number. So if you go to this and you do this on Word, it will be then it will be uniform on the whole. Like this document, it has this footer down, so you don't have to do it individually for every page. You would do it just a header and a footer, and it will be copy pasted throughout the document. Appendices would follow the reference list. So first you have the reference list and then the appendix. Each appendix must start on a new page. Appendix must be numbered, either ABC or 1, 2, 3. References, again, all references should be there. And ideally, when you start your referencing, it should be on a new page. And your referencing style should be Harvard. So I'll share that also with you. Just a minute. So Harvard referencing style is actually the one that's used in all academics. So yeah. So a lot of these documents are there already on your Moodle page, as I mentioned earlier. So
Yes,
it's just
I
that,
did all
yeah.
that before in my last assignment, so I just learned how to do it. So
Mhm,
I'm trying to do them this time around to do
mhm.
it proper.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, referencing can sometimes be hard. Um, but if you do it once and you learn it once, then it's done. So for books, you need to record books. You need to record authors or editors' name or names. Now, remember, for every statement, ideally for every statement, you need an author, because these statements are not yours. But let's say you say that you talk about your role within the organization, and then you talk about how your organization works, how the teams there in your organization, what CPD opportunities you have. An example. So these are some things that are your statements. They are not statements taken from somewhere. So wherever you have statements taken from some other author, some other book, that you need to reference. The year of the book, when it was published, the title of the book, if it is an edition other than the first, the city or where the book was published, the name of the publisher, ideally these should all go for in a book. For journals, there you'll be using a lot of journals. The author's name or names should be mentioned there, the year of publication, title, sorry, of the article, the title of the journal, the page number of the article in the journal. DOIs can be mentioned, also the volume and issue number can also be mentioned, electronics resources. So it's you need to try to collect information on the left if it is available, but also record the date you access the resource. So let's say you access this resource on the 27th of January 2024, and someone reads your document and accesses it in, let's say, 2025 December, let's say, or whenever they access it. So it might have changed, that document might have changed. So it actually tells the reader that when you accessed it, this was the information available. And the information might not be available or might not be the same. It might have changed when the other reader reads it. So this is very good. This is a very good practice to mention when you accessed it. The electronic address or email, and type the electronic resource. So if there's an email, it's a discussion forum, you can use www, you can use HTTPS, whatever is there available. So whenever you use someone else's idea or words, you must put in a reference. There could be direct quotations. So let's say some person, some leader said this thing. So in that case, you're not going to paraphrase what the leader said, what the author said. If you're putting direct, you're using the words of the exact words. So let's say someone gave a definition of SMART objectives. So you're going to reference that, but you're going to put that in direct quotations. So quotation marks start and quotation marks end at the end. So these are, you're going to quote exactly what they said. You're not going to paraphrase them. But let's say when you're writing other text where you don't have a definition, where you don't have to go for exact wording, then you need to paraphrase, and there are different ways in which you can paraphrase. So you would use different words. You can use different synonyms instead of those exact words. So paraphrasing is you lose marks when you're plagiarizing work. So that needs to be there in your mind, because this is against professional and academic conduct. So you need to be careful about that. So what's the difference between paraphrasing and direct quotes, as I just mentioned? So direct quotes use the same exact words and the same format. In paraphrasing, you use your own words to explain the writer's viewpoint. So let's say you're talking about a team leader. What should the qualities be of a good team leader? You're taking this from some document. So you need to paraphrase. You're not going to exactly copy paste that person's words. Even though you're referencing them, still you need to reference them and paraphrase this, whatever their words were. So wherever you have direct quotes, you need to use inverted commas, start and end. Inverted commas are not used in paraphrasing at all. So almost everything needs to be referenced. Only exception is when you have something that is your own, that might be, let's say you talk about COVID-19, and you say that COVID-19 created havoc, or COVID-19 created a lot of disruption in the NHS. This is known. This is something that is already known. So that you need not to reference it. But if you're talking about the SOPs, let's say the SOPs were not developed by you. They have been developed, although this is common knowledge now, but this common knowledge is common now. It was not common earlier. So the guidelines, if you mention any guidelines, they need to be referenced. You would want to include a reference if you stated in an assignment that Shakespeare wrote plays and sonnets in Elizabethan times. So this is something that you did not know, and you've taken it from somewhere. So you need to actually reference this. So this is some so there's referencing in text, and then there's referencing at the end of your bibliography also. So summary of a writer's idea in your own words. So you write the name of the author. So suggests that generational change is inevitable and continuous. This is how you can use it in text. This is just one author who states this. So, and when you have more than one author, obviously, then you use at all for them if they're more than three. So this is where you're not using quotation marks and you're just saying in your own words that what Philip said. So this is Harvard referencing style. Direct quotes, when you're writing this, so it's about Adair, who wrote this in page 51. So he states that the centerpiece will tend to be goals and objectives. So inverted commas on and off. Or you could also say, when organizing our time, the centerpiece will tend to be goals and objectives, again, by the same author. So you can write it in different ways, but this will have to be in quotation marks. Again, direct quotes with two authors. So and this is the second name, that the last name that you're using. So let's say my first and last name is Anita and Khoso. So I will use the name Khoso. This is the last name that I have to use. So you have to use the last name for the author, for every author. So this is the page numbers that mention where they have said it. These two authors. They insist that with presentation structure must be clear and precise. In this, you're using direct quotes. Again, you can use it in a different way. Direct quotes with three authors. So three authors would also have their last names here with direct quotes. You can use them sorry. So you can use their names here, or you can use their names in brackets. So it's up to you. There could be a mix of these. So when you have three or more authors, like more than three authors, sorry, so then you use et al. At the end. So Morris is the last name of the first author. Et al. Will be all the other authors. I don't know, there are 4 authors, there are 5 authors, there are 10 authors, doesn't matter. That would be obviously in the reference list. So you could use et al. For 4 or more authors, more than 3. So when you're creating a reference list or bibliography, all your resources that you're referring to in the main body, so there's some students who've written so much that they tend to do their referencing at the end, and that is when they make major mistakes. So please, the best practice is to go along with the references. So you've started your document. The moment you start your document, start referencing as well, so that you don't have to go again through your document and then again, because referencing takes a lot of time. Trust me, half of the work is the referencing itself, and it carries a lot of marks also. So you want to do it peacefully. One idea is just to start with the references. Don't let it go for the end of the document. When you're done with the end of the document, don't leave it till then. So all of your resources should be referenced in your main body. They should be there in the text, and then they should be at the end of the assignment. So you need to list those resources from which you have either you've used quotes or you've paraphrased them. You do not have a list of books you used for background reading purposes. So you might have read your books. It's not necessary that you reference those background reading books also for your referencing. If you do it, it's okay. We don't mind. But if you've not done it, like you've gone through the course books and you've referenced something that you've learned from there, it's okay if you don't want to use that, but it's up to you. You can use that as well. So when you're creating a reference list, the sources should be listed alphabetically, always remember. So A comes first, and then again use the surname or the last name of the author first, and then the first name. should be left justified. So this is all got to do with the Word document. The formatting references should never be preceded by a bullet or a number. So this is some different style that uses bullets or number. It's without bullets or numbers. It's just alphabetic order of so it's not the first name, it's the last name. So let's say my name is Anita Koso. I'm not going to be the first in the reference list. You'll start my reference in the alphabet K, let's say. So I would not be the first one. So it's COSO A that you would write for me. All sources should be listed together. There should not be separate lists for books, journals, articles, and electronic sources. So whatever comes alphabetically first, that should be there. This is for everything together. You're not going to separate books, journals, articles, and electronic sources. There should be just one document for references. The reference list should be on a separate page, ideally, and just simple titled references, ideally in bold. Bibliography, when you use Harvard system, you are only usually required to produce a reference list. Some lecturers and tutors may want to produce a bibliography instead of a reference list. So in the bibliography, you must list all sources that you have consulted, regardless of whether you cited them or not. So you might have used some course books also. You may have not cited them, but still you would want to use them. So we're okay with just a simple referencing list. Reference list format. So your author's last name would be there, followed by a comma, and then the initial name, the initial. So it will be COSO. I'm giving my example because I know my name the best. So it's COSO, comma, A. It's not going to be COSO, comma, Anita. No, it's going to be COSO, comma, A dot. The year in brackets, the book name, this is for book names. The subtitle of the book, place where it was published, the publisher. So this is for a book being published, book with one author. Again, as I said, this is one book, one author, two authors, again, last name, comma, initial dot, and last name, comma, initial dot, followed by the rest. And then for three authors, again, you will use three or more authors, you will use this. So again, just what I do, which helps me best, is that just copy paste one reference, for, let's say, for a book or for a journal, and then I tend to follow that format if I'm doing it manually. So, and then these are different ways that you have a book or second edition of the book, you must write the second the edition there. Book by same author in the same year. So let's say this Napier, he had a book in the same year. So there were different parts of that book. So you'll distinguish it by A and B. So they're different. They're different titles for this book, definitely. And then when you have when you're referencing this in the main text, you would then use A and B as well. So this is how to distinguish between two publications from the same author in the same year. And then there's an editor. So you have this editor option here. And where there's a book and an editor. Now coming to the journals. So journal article, last name, followed by initial, the whole title, the journal's name. This can go in italics, the volume, and the month, page numbers could be here. So this is a little explanation about it. So there's this author Muller who wrote this journal article, which was titled Trapped in the Body. And it has appeared in the journal, this journal, third volume. published in August 1994. 1994 is mentioned here. Article appears on pages this and this of the journal. So this is a bit about uh, how to reference your article. So I'll just give you a bit more about the guidelines. So there is no specific word limit for the assignments, and it is suggested that it should have a maximum word limit of 6,000. So anything beyond that, obviously marks, there would be marks for that, that would be deducted. So you should be within your 6,000 word limit. This would exclude your tables, let's say, your headings and your subheadings also. Your references would be excluded from it. You will, this is considering all the tasks that are attempted, including your pass mark, your pass, your merit, and your distinction. If the work is academically written, you would reference it to cover the tasks. And then you will have you could have even the highest grade when you have 4,000 or 4,500 words. I'm just giving an example if you're writing it very robustly. So it doesn't matter if it's less than 6,000, it's okay, but not very less. So the document should prove to have everything that it requires. It is sometimes difficult to justify high order command verbs. So you're going to see what high order command verbs are. I'm just going to give you a bit of explanation on this. I'll talk about it. Yeah, like once I'm done with this, you could use diagrams, you can use figures, tables, if they convey your message and show clarity. Uh, they should be used a lot, because that graphically shows you graphically sound. You would use action or command verbs. Again, I'll talk to you about what they are. You could explain, define, and describe things. So there could be 70 to 100 words on that. You could assess, examine, clarify, or analyze things that could have 100 to 125 words. Compare, contrast, critically evaluate these other words that are used, 125 to 150 words. There are different guidelines that have been shared again on Moodle. I'll just share a bit about what command verbs are, how do you use them. Just a minute. Mm. So yeah, this is not going to take much time. I'll just share this with you. So, so when you're writing an essay, you have to be clear on what your essay question is, that you're intending to answer. Look at the essay in close detail, and it will help you to identify the topic and directive words, which will instruct you how to answer the question. Understand the meaning of these directive words. That's important. So there are different terms that are used over here. They provide definition, and there are definitions also over here. So these are some technical terms that would be there, you should be using while writing down your work. So the different words, you could consider these words in your document. There's a whole glossary of words that have their own definitions also. Um, so yeah, you can use them. There's some words that are used very frequently because we're into academic writing. So this is why these words are so important, and they're very well explained over here. Just a last document that I would want to share with you. Just a minute. Um, Yeah. So this is the last document that I'll share. Uh, so what makes a good assignment? There's a whole checklist for you when you're writing your assignment. Just have a look at this checklist. It's really helpful in order to write a very good assignment. So you should have a clear understanding, and when you have a clear understanding, you can demonstrate that clear understanding for your readers also. So anyone who's assessing you knows clearly what are you going to explain. So obviously there are different tasks that you'll different sections that you will break down your document into. You must have a heading, as I mentioned, a glossary, or um, uh, there will be a table of contents with the page number that should also be there. This shows the different tasks that you're doing. This gives, and then your learning outcomes must be mentioned over there. So which learning outcome are you working on? So it's not that if you're not writing the learning outcomes, the reader might not know that this is the end of this learning outcome, the first learning outcome, and then the second one starts. There can be one or more assignments per unit. As we mentioned, you have more assignments. An assignment will help learners to achieve the criteria. So the assessment criteria, we have a written assessment criteria. So whatever is being checked by us, by the assessors, it's already a framework that's been developed. So there's nothing that will be done in a gray zone, let's say. So there's nothing that I feel, oh, Placidia, let's say you've been there for like throughout the sessions. Uh, Having said that, uh, there is a document that mentions how to assess you, excluding all biases. So I might be biased towards you. An assessor might be biased that, oh, this student has been really good in the class. Let's say I'm not giving your example, I'm giving an example, just an example of any other. You obviously have an edge because you've been attending the classes regularly. You have an edge in greater terms, where you know what has been taught. You are the first recipient of this whole course. So it's going to be much, much easier for you, definitely. Um, and not, I would say it would take time for the others who are going through this, the videos, instead of being there and questioning and answering questions. So again, use very academic language, use the glossary that's been given to you, the examples of the words that have been given to you. Use a lot of tables, use charts that you have. They'll give a good impression that you've done your good research. Assignments, you have these are separate assignments. And then, yeah, there's a whole list of how to best I would not say decorate, but how to best present your assignment, so the reader, because you have to obviously impress the reader. Whenever we are doing any test, any test, we are doing any task, you have to. And how do you impress the reader? By showing them that you know what you're writing, you know the stuff. That's all. That's all that matters. The end project result of this assignment or this project would be that we're confident that you are confident in whatever we've taught you. So that's all from my side. Any questions, Placidia?
Yes. So the only thing I want to ask now is, so when I'm writing, am I supposed to personalize everything? Because like personalize it, like when I want to write about like the project part of it, I know I'm supposed to say I no, the project part of it, I'm just like putting up, I'm not saying I will or something like that. I'm not using words like that. So do I have to do that?
Yeah, ideally it should be the third order. So we would be used instead, or let's say I will COVID-19 in place. So it's not a reflective thing. It's something that you're writing as third order. So it's an academic thing. So you will write that instead of this, you will write that COVID-19 SOPs will be put in place, or we will put COVID-19 SOPs in place. Now, when you're writing about yourself, let's say you write that I was a leader, so you can't write obviously when we consider ourselves being a leader. You're not going to put that. In those instances, some instances you are going to use I. That is justify. You need to justify why you're using it. So if you're given if it's a doc like if you've got a plan, obviously you could write, we have a plan of doing this and this. It's ideally
Let
recommended
me
to
let
use
me
third
read like
person.
just a line. Like I have a topic project initiation.
Yeah.
So in that line, there's like the team will initiate that there is a room in the facility that is ready to receive the resident. So should I say we will initiate? You understand?
Yes.
Because I'm not part of the team, you
No.
see.
Yeah.
So
No. It is a third person, third order that you will be using instead of I. Some places I is acceptable, but not most of the time. Most of the time, obviously, you will have to write
okay.
the third person.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, instead of using, like if you've used a lot of we's in your document, you could then start writing like the COVID-19, as I said, the COVID-19 SOPs will be put in place, or
Yeah.
there will be, yeah,
Like currently I've not used a lot of we's or I's. I'm
yeah,
just like explaining what the team is about and stuff. But the part now for the project I understand. Now for the part that says promoting communication and everything, I also didn't personalize it. I just kind of explain what I feel a good leader should, the attributes
yeah,
a good leader should have, and the effect of that good leadership on the people.
yeah,
So I didn't
great.
personalize it
No,
as
yeah, it's not a personal, it's a different sort of a document. That writing is different. It's not very, it's is academic, but it's mostly done in education or in reflection, when you have reflective accounts, when you're writing about what you did and what you thought. So where you let's say the Kolb's learning cycle, if you have the Kolb's learning cycle, there you have reflection, a component of reflection. There you could write that I thought this and I
yeah,
analyzed that this.
the
So that's
skills and the
reflection. Yeah,
CPD, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
skills and the CPD, I personalize that. Like I
yeah,
said, I'm attending level 5.
yeah.
So that's the only place I have eyes and all that. So
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, some places you would have, definitely you would have an I there. Yeah.
okay. All right.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know via email if you have any queries you want
Yeah,
to
I'm
pass
just going
on.
to send it across now
Yeah, yeah.
and continue to work on it till I get your response.
Yeah, I would not be able to do this right now. I can do this. Uh, do we don't have a session tomorrow. We do.
I'm not sure.
I'll have to have a look at it.
I
But
think it's
yeah,
the last one on the email.
this I will take some time in seeing through your document and giving you a feedback, definitely,
I mean,
because
I'll just drop it for you and try and work on all the things you've told me today. And
yeah. Just
if
carry on with your work. Any comments that I have, any feedback that I have, I will let you know beforehand, definitely, so that you have enough time to make the changes.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's okay. I hope this was helpful, and have a nice day. Take care of yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.